on this episode of the Sorority Chat podcast.
How do you even just get your foot in the door? And I think the first step is just to do it. Like, stop getting in your own way. Stop thinking, I can't do this, or I'm not the right person for it. I'm gonna be honest, like my imposter syndrome just coming on your podcast today is outrageous. Like, get me out of here. I'm not qualified to speak on this at all. But you just have to do it. Like, get yourself out of that comfort zone, push yourself and do it. I can tell you 99% of the time you're not going to regret that.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Sorority Chat. I'm Liz Alexander, a designer and sorority alum who's obsessed with all things Greek life. My mission? To bring you real conversations, smart insights, and fun stories that help make sorority living even better. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and let's chat. Welcome back, Sorority Chatters. Today's guest is someone that I've had the pleasure of working alongside through Alpha Gam's Empower Leadership program. She leads with heart, humor, and a lot of creativity, and it has been such a pleasure to get to know her, so I wanted you to get to know her too. Dallas Knack is a proud Alpha Gam from Southern Illinois University who's built a career in marketing, fueled by a spark that she first discovered while in her collegiate chapter. She is a small-town woman with big ideas. Her side hustle is called the Violet Veranda, and it celebrates sass and coffee in equal measure. She has a passion for giving back to her community as well, and we will get to all of this. From leadership in small business to grandma hobbies, which I completely relate to, we're covering it all in today's episode. Welcome, Dallas.
Thank you so much for having me, and you make me sound really cool, by the way.
I think you're super cool.
Oh my God, stop it.
I love the grandma hobbies. And just the other night I was watching, I think it was like NBC Nightly News, and they did an entire segment on grandma hobbies and like needle pointing and mahjong and all of these things. And I was like, I think I've been 90 from like the day I was born.
Literally, yeah, absolutely, right? Like, give me some like good yarn or embroidery floss and I'll just have a great time. Don't worry about me.
I know. I think it's so cool. I'm not a sewer or a yarn person, but we'll get to all of that in a second. Let's kind of back up and talk about how you found Alpha Gam at Southern Illinois and just what drew you into that particular chapter.
Yeah, so my college career actually is a little not super traditional. I went to a community college and then I transferred on to Southern Illinois University to complete my bachelor's degree.
Nice.
I really wanted two things out of my college career and my experience. I wanted to be in Greek life. I knew I wanted to join a sorority and I really wanted to study abroad. And both of those things came together for me at SIU Carbondale. I joined a sorority. I joined Alpha Gamma Delta. I went to a very small high school. I'm from a very small town. I only had a couple girlfriends. There was only a couple of girls in my class for most of my life up until I got into high school. So then I went on to a community college and I kind of had some trouble like meeting people because community college can be different, right? A lot of us are commuting. We don't live on campus. It's hard to make friends sometimes. So when I was looking for a college or university for my next step, I knew I wanted to join a sorority. I'm also an only child. And so I was like, I'm going to find sisters, right? And so that was my goal. And through joining Alpha Gamma Delta, ironically enough, one of my sisters was studying abroad. She was studying marketing in France. And I was like, I don't know anything about marketing. I don't know anything about France, but let's go. Let's have a good time. So I registered for the program and I actually went with two other sisters and we studied abroad in France for a summer. We were in the Grenoble area and then in Paris, and the whole program centered around marketing. And all of a sudden it clicked. I was a journalism major and I was like, wait, I think I actually love marketing. And at the time I was doing some like Instagram influencing. That wasn't a thing. That wasn't a term. And I was working out some of my own brand deals and partnering with businesses because I just really loved showing off, especially small businesses. I wanted people to see what was out there. And so I was working out a lot of just collaborations and brand deals on my own. And I kind of just fell into marketing after that and found a passion.
That's really cool. I didn't know that about you with the brand deals and the marketing early on. So that's really cool that you were kind of on the forefront of that wave.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go too far into any of that or like make it much. It was still very small potatoes, but just felt good to be able to showcase some brands that I loved, especially like I said, the smaller brands, the local brands that I really loved, and I wanted to see more support around those areas. So I was just excited to be able to show off what I could and hopefully bring my own little personal touch and do what I could to uplift our businesses.
Yeah, I think that's cool though. And that has translated into your career today. Do you want to talk about kind of what you're doing professionally now? Because there is a clear through line there and like supporting small businesses and promoting all of that.
Yeah, so I'm the executive director of a chamber of commerce. So we, of course, do a lot with our local businesses and our bigger businesses, our corporations as well, through various things such as learning opportunities, workforce development, professional women's networking, whatever we can to provide information and resources to our businesses is especially important because we know local and small businesses do so much for our communities. Even just beyond the big thing of providing jobs for our neighbors and for our family and friends, they're also the ones that are pumping back into it. When you think of the local high school that's having a prom night and they're looking for people to sponsor so that the kids can do XYZ, it's those smaller businesses that are the ones that are stepping up and donating to those things or donating to the fundraiser for us to get something new in our community. So it's so important because I don't know what the latest statistic is, but something like 67 cents for every dollar you spend in a local business stays in your local community. And for me, that's everything.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very big on supporting local, shopping small. I mean, I obviously there's some things that come from Amazon, but anytime I can shop local and like support a local business owner, I'm like, I feel like this is a big win, right? It's supporting my fellow entrepreneurs.
Well, and it also just makes me feel better when I'm like, I've had coffee out 3 times this week, but they're all local businesses. So I'm supporting my economy. I'm not being bad. I'm not ruining my New Year's resolution. I'm just helping someone out.
Yeah, I'm stimulating the economy. Exactly. I had that exact thought the other day. On Saturdays, I like to walk from my house to the local coffee shop, and I'm usually chatting with a friend. And I'm always like, it's no big deal. It's girl math, right? It doesn't matter what it costs. It's effectively, I'm pouring into the community.
Absolutely. So honestly, you're really just doing good things and like in twofold. So
Yes. Yes,
$0.
exactly. Yeah, I love it. I love this mentality. We're on the same page here.
100%.
I also think it's really cool that you got to study abroad. I never did that. And that was something looking back, I wish that I had done that and maybe put more focus on it. It never really came to mind for me. Whereas going Greek, much like you said, was like on my target list. My dad was in a fraternity. He always talked about it and was still friends with so many people, or is still friends with so many people that he met through that. And so I knew I wanted that to be part of my collegiate experience.
Yeah, so my parents were not in Greek life at all. I'm basically a first gen student. My parents have some college experience, but they don't have a traditional college experience on a campus or anything like that. So that was important to me. I'm going to be stereotypical in saying that you see the movies and everything, and everyone is in Greek life and it's all great. And I know it's not that way. It's absolutely not that way. But my mindset going into college was like, this is what you do when you go away to school because I don't have any other person in my life that has gone through it. So that's what I think it looks like. And it was funny enough that I had obviously some friends going through college at the same time at different schools and universities, some that had gone into Greek life before I had on other campuses and in other sororities. I just leaned on them a lot and I learned more about like what it actually means to be in a sorority. It's not like it is in the movies whatsoever, thankfully. And just the networking piece was the huge thing everyone was saying about how it's just so vital, not only to make friends when you're on campus, but what that turns into later on in life. And that's what I really needed. I knew that I was going to need these connections later on. I didn't know what they would look like. I didn't even know what career I truly wanted to go into at the time, but I knew that there would be someone along the way that would help me on that journey, whether it's the connections, whether maybe they have an opportunity that I could get into. I just knew that I'd be setting myself up for success in the future by joining a sorority. And I'm very grateful I did because it is all about the connections and just the professional aspects that you learn along the way. Robert's rule of orders, rules of order, like just learning how to run a meeting, learning what the budget sheet looks like, a P&L, things like that, were just so beneficial in my collegiate experience and translates every day pretty much for what I do.
Yeah, you're right. There is a lot of that experience. Did you hold a leadership role or anything while you were at Alphagam?
Yeah, so I was in the marketing role and I
Oh, okay.
actually didn't want anything to do with it. I had no idea what it was. I was like, I don't think I'm the person. And I was nominated unanimously. And everyone was like, no, 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 no. Like, you're the person for it. Like, we've seen your social media channels and everything. Like, you need to bring this to our chapter. And through that is really what I learned, just how to run social media marketing, what that even means or looks like, or how to develop press releases and things like that. It was through my role in Alpha Gamma Delta.
Well, I mean, that's so valuable. And then you and I met, like I said, through the Empower program, which is a leadership program that Alphagam puts on. We were facilitators, alumna facilitators. So how did your time within your chapter shape your leadership style today? Like, what do you see translated over for you?
Oh, I think the biggest thing for me is that I learned how to communicate and work with people from all different mindsets and backgrounds
Ooh.
and personalities. There's all, let's be honest, there's some big personalities that we sometimes navigate within a chapter.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're definitely not one of them, Liz, but it really teaches you communication skills, I think is one of the biggest, most important things I learned. And again, just some of the networking pieces. How do you go into a room where you know absolutely no one and sell yourself, or at least strike up a conversation with someone so you don't have to go through those things alone? I mean, I do that on a daily basis. Just last night, I had a networking event for a group that is young professionals under the age of 40. And so many people came in the door and it was like deer in the headlights. And I was like, been there, done that. Like, let me help you, which is so nice to be able to be able to lead those people through it now and try to provide a space where they feel comfortable learning the ropes on those things. Even, some of them that are older than me that are still just like, this is so uncomfortable. Let's be real. Like, it's not comfortable for any of us, but you learn to get through it. You learn how to have that small talk and start a conversation, and it's so invaluable.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the recruitment side of that just translates right over into the networking, just like you said. And it is uncomfortable for people. No one wants to force a conversation or insert themselves into things. And there's just tactful ways that you learn how to do that. And it clearly works out and benefits you professionally.
Yes, even if it's just going into an interview after you
Yeah.
graduate and you're trying to get your first real job, like knowing how to make eye contact and have a good handshake and just not sitting there quietly and awkwardly and not knowing where to start, even if it is like a silly icebreaker or something to ease the mood a little bit, and then sell yourself for a job too. I definitely picked up those skills along the way.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I know that you're not one to brag and you're going to fuss at me for saying anything about these, but you've gotten a couple of awards because of your leadership and because of your involvement within the community. So I think you were one of the 4 under 40 awards in your hometown, right?
Yes, I was.
And then the Alpha Gams Talent of Leadership Award. And so I'm curious because you're obviously very involved and you're very supportive of others in your community, whether that's within the Greek community or within the business community. Like, what advice do you have for women who want to stay involved in a meaningful way as an adult? Because I think it gets harder to find those opportunities. So, like, tell us how you've been successful with that.
Absolutely. It's so hard. Like, how do you even just get your foot in the door? And I think the first step is just to do it. Like, stop getting in your own way. Stop thinking, I can't do this or I'm not the right person for it. I'm going to be honest. Like, my imposter syndrome just coming on your podcast today is outrageous. Like, get me out of here. I'm not qualified to speak on this at all. But you just have
Lies.
to do it. Like, get yourself out of that comfort zone, push yourself and do it. I can tell you 99% of the time, you're not going to regret that. I also find this can be a little bit of a double-edged sword, but I say yes to every opportunity because you don't know what is going to come out of it. And that can be dangerous because you can burn yourself out very easily. You can get yourself into situations that are a little bit sticky sometimes. Maybe they make for a good story later on down the road, though. But I have found throughout my career so far, I've just said yes to every opportunity, not knowing if I'm not feeling like I'm always the right fit, not knowing if I'm going to enjoy it. And so far, I've lucked out and I have opened so many doors that way. just by being open to maybe attending a meeting for a networking group that you don't know anything about, you don't know anyone there, but you show up anyway, and all of a sudden this person next to you wants to give you a job because they're looking for a freelance copywriter. You just don't know how those connections and those opportunities will play out in the long run, and you just got to go for it sometimes, and it's scary.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Having started a business, started a podcast, there's, all these things that you never know. And I do agree that saying yes to opportunities really can take you to some cool and unexpected places. And that's not to say that, I still think there's the other side where you may have a gut inclination like, this is a no for me. But if all that's happening is you're just a little fearful and a little nervous, that is, I think, the sign that this is an opportunity to like expand your boundaries and to see what else is available. That's not like, ooh, this is a red flag. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No, if there's a red flag, go the other way. But
Yeah.
if it's just one of those like, oh, I'm not so sure, I'm kind of on the fence about it, just go for it. What's the worst that happens? You bail, you make an excuse, a cat died, something happened, you got to get out of there, darn. It'll be fine. There are definitely ways around all of that. But if it's a red flag, run the other way. But for the most part, just keep an open mind, I think, is the biggest part.
Yes, I agree. And I think it's interesting too, because, and maybe I'm alone in thinking like this, but used to be when I heard about like my community, I really just thought about like where I live, right? But now I'm like, no, I have a lot of communities. I've got the Alpha Gam community. I have a work community. I have where I live community. And so it's finding ways in those different communities to plug in and seeing what's out there for you. Maybe it's in person, maybe it's virtual. There's so much opportunity these days, and we're just really not bound by like city limits or state lines.
Oh my gosh, yes, especially when you add in all the virtual options, which virtual can be kind of weird, right? But things like, as we were facilitating the Empower program that was all done remotely for the most part, what a wonderful opportunity to still be able to engage. And I'm engaging with, as someone who lives in Illinois, I'm engaging with some of our sisters that are in Canada, some of them that are on the West Coast. Like, being able to still interact in that space has been wonderful. But I still think there is something really to like going to your local coffee shop and just hanging out with some of the locals there, or going to your community outing, your big event, and being part of that as well, whether that's part of, your friend group, whether that's part of your professional development group, whether that's an organization that you serve on a board for or you volunteer with. You make those little groups wherever you are, and I think they're so vital to not only like our well-being and our mental health, but also just your growth, your personal growth.
Yeah, I fully agree. I get so much like energy and I learn so much from other people and talking to them, whether we're in the same industry or whatever. I love learning people's stories, which is a huge driver behind the podcast anyway. Like, people joke about me always asking about the origin story, but I want to know. I want that connection.
I'm just so curious. Like, tell me all of the things.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, ooh, tell me your whole story, and then whatever. So speaking of your story, you have a side hustle, the Violet Veranda. You do a variety of things. I know I have crocheted
coffee sleeves.
Sleeve, like a coffee sleeve. Yes, thank you. So I always take it with me when I go on my Saturday walks to the coffee shop, whether I get a hot or a cold drink. There it is, knit in my hand.
It's like we're getting coffee together.
I know. Yes, I should say that. I should start saying I'm having coffee with Dallas. But what led you to go in that venture? Like, what made that exciting for you and made you want to kind of forge that path?
Well, I started a business on accident. So if you'll remember a few minutes back when I was saying that I was doing some like social media influencing and marketing, I've been kind of a crafty person. It makes me nervous to say that because I'm crafty. I'm not artsy. Like, I can just kind of like glue some sequins together, but I'm not like artistic. So I like to just try weird little crafts here and there. And so I made myself a really cute hot chocolate mug. I didn't drink coffee at the time. Now I drink way too much of it, but I made a cute little mug that I thought was just adorable, posted it on my Instagram, just kind of as like a, hey, look at this little craft I made. And I started getting DMs of people like, I want to buy this. Can you make me one? And I got like half a dozen in like maybe a span of an hour or two of people that are like, I will pay you to make this. And I'm like, cool, whatever. So I'm doing this thinking, oh, I'm just making some mugs for some people that are, some of my followers or some friends and family. And I thought it was just going to be a short-term hobby. And then about 6 months into it, I was like, this isn't letting up. I need to make this legit. So I backtracked and I made my DBA. I opened a bank account. I did all of the things. I built my business plan, all the things I should have done initially, but not knowing, I thought this was just a cute little thing that I was making someone's day, just providing them a nice little mug. I didn't intend to grow into what I was growing into. And since then, I have shipped to all 50 states. I've shipped to a handful of different countries. And I've also started a wholesale program. So I sell mugs and iced coffee sleeves to various coffee shops and boutiques and gift stores all across the US as well. So my stuff is primarily e-commerce. Everything is online for me. I try to do like a few pop-ups here locally just because I like to get out in the community and talk to people and see the joy and excitement that it brings them when they're experiencing my products. But it's a lot easier for me to be able to ship it out and spread it out across all of the coffee shops and stores that want to also bring my product to people just to bring them some joy. So it's nice to be able to blanket that out there and have more of a reach that way. And it's more manageable for me too, since I have a full-time job and I have other side hustles to be able to keep up with all of it. It's nice to have e-commerce these days.
Yeah, I would say so. That's very cool about all 50 states. That's like a fun little feather in your cap.
That was my thing for the longest time. I was like, if I could just ship to all 50 states, that would be great. And then all of a sudden, pretty early in, it was like multiple countries and all of these things. And I was like, but I want to hit all 50 states. So that was like our longest running joke for quite a while.
Oh, that's really funny. Is there something that surprised you about running a small business while you're also working full time somewhere else?
Yeah, no, what's so funny is, so for the longest time, I had a full-time job, part-time job, and was running this business, and I was freelancing as well. But the funniest thing to me is people always say like, oh, I want to be self-employed so I can work the hours I want. And
oh, please.
Then you're working 24/7. Like the amount of time I'm putting into my business, I mean, it's almost every waking moment outside of my job. So that was surprising. And I should have known. I have some small business owners in my family and some really good friends, and I've seen the amount of heart and soul that they put into it. But I thought, oh, just a small e-commerce thing. It'll be nothing. Oh boy, was I wrong.
Small in quotations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you balance all of that then? Because and it's not only a time management thing, but it's a stress management and just there's a lot of things to juggle with all of it.
So much to juggle with it. I don't have it worked out. I'm going to be honest. You kind of just got to fake it till you make it. That's my life motto.
Yes.
And sometimes we're just doing that. It gets easier. The nice thing is things start to fall into place a lot easier once you get into a flow with it. But sometimes, especially around the holidays, when I'm balancing multiple large wholesale orders and multiple large orders of maybe Christmas presents, and you want to make sure that everything is perfect because you know that this is going for someone's Christmas present and you want it to be as perfect as possible. So balancing it all is tough, and I don't really have an answer for that one. But the nice thing is that I think the creativity of it and the process of it really fills my cup. So that helps balance it all out a lot for me.
I think that's valuable that you do need that why and that cup filling component. And it's not just about chasing a dollar or something else. That's why it's fulfilling and meaningful to you. So you've got all this work going on. How do you fit in your grandma hobbies?
Sparingly, but the way that I do it the most every year, instead of setting like a New Year's resolution, I challenge myself to learn something new. And that's normally where the grandma hobbies come into play. So this past year in 2025, it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do because I teach myself how to do all of these. I don't take a class. I just kind of pick it up, and it's quite hard sometimes to teach yourself how to do things like embroidery. I don't know why I tried these things, but this past year I decided paper quilling was going to be my thing. So it's the art of taking these tiny little strips of paper and rolling them up into different shapes and making things out of them. So I was making like greeting cards. I made little flower pots and put them in a wooden box. So it's almost like a little, kind of like a shadow box with little paper plants in it. That's kind of my thing in the evenings. I don't really watch like a lot of TV or keep up with things because my schedule's all over the place. So how I unwind is with my grandma hobbies, whether it's crocheting, which I also do for work, but my crocheting or embroidery or now paper quilling.
So that was 2025. What's going to be on the list for 2026?
I haven't figured out 2026 yet. Mainly because the paper quilling has actually taken off more than I anticipated. Again, I thought I was just doing this for fun, like to learn something new. And then some of my friends started finding out, and then I somehow found myself setting up at an art show and selling out at the art show. And I was like, I think I'm sticking with paper quilling for 2026, but there's some like new techniques that I want to learn within paper quilling. So I think that's going to be my new one. People do these crazy things like Starry Night out of paper, like paper that they glue like on its edge to make a 3D like Starry Night. And I'm like, I could never, but we're going to try.
Yeah, but then here in a couple months, you're going to be like, I made Starry Night. So
I know.
whatever.
Yeah. Keep an eye on my Instagram.
That's really cool. I'm going to look this up because I'm just not that familiar with the technique and I want to get more visuals and understanding around it.
I'm in my office. Let me see if here.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but so like these are tiny pieces of paper.
Stop it.
That
it's
are all
so
rolled
cute.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you've made succulents and plants about it. Oh my gosh. So cute. You'll be able to see it if you're watching YouTube. If you're just listening, you'll have to go watch on YouTube.
Just imagine. They're really cute. I promise.
Just imagine. Well, that's really cool. That's very neat. I like that. So if you could give your best piece of advice to somebody who is working a full-time job and also wants to pursue some side hustles, like what is that piece of advice that you would give? Like speak to younger Dallas.
Yes. Learn to prioritize and learn to prioritize what makes you happy. Obviously, we all need to make money, right? We all need to be able to survive in whatever sense that looks like for you. So yeah, the full-time job, maybe it's just there to pay the bills so that you can focus on doing something creative, building your product, building your store, whatever that looks like. Just really taking a deep dive and a deep look, and not just once. Like check in with yourself regularly and see, like, am I spending all night hunched over these tiny pieces of paper and I hate it and I want to throw it at the ground at the end of the day? And at the end of that, am I like, okay, I'm going to take a breath and I want to restart? Or am I like, no, screw all of this. I'm done with it. If you're to that point, it's not for you. Let it go. It is okay. And I think the important thing is to remember that sure, I've been on this path for 8 years, but if at the end of the day, I'm like, never mind, this is no longer worth it for me. This is now becoming a job. I'm doing it for that dollar, like you said, and it's not fulfilling me. It's okay to cut ties. It's not worth it. But if we love it and we're to that point where it's like, I can't keep doing all of it, let's see how we can scale that so that we can cut back on the other, maybe the full-time job. Maybe we can cut it back to a part-time job and still support some of the bills while we can focus on building this business. It just depends on where your priorities lie, and make sure you're checking in regularly with yourself to see if it still aligns with that. It's okay to change it. It's okay to be like, this is no longer for me, and to reevaluate that.
That is excellent advice. The constantly checking in because things are ever changing is so good. And I also really appreciate that you said maybe the full-time job is just to pay the bills, because I think a lot of times the message is chase your dreams, find all your fulfillment in your work. And that is just not the case for everyone. If you think about all the jobs that are available in the world. And I understand that I am someone who's speaking from a place of, I do get a lot of fulfillment from my job. It just happens to be that is my path. But maybe that fulfillment and that joy is coming from a different avenue besides the 9 to 5. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, I love what I'm doing. I lead a nonprofit. So we're not,
right.
We do it because it's a labor of love, right? We're not doing it to get rich. Like, so being able to balance, like, yeah, there are some really stressful days, but I'm loving what I'm doing in my actual professional career, and I'm loving what I'm doing on the side too. And how do we just make that work and coincide? And sometimes that ebbs and flows. Like right now, I've had to shut down part of my online store, and I've had to limit how many I'm offering when I do seasonal drops and things like that, because I don't have the capability of working at the same level I have been working at, because my job is a little bit more time intensive right now. So now I can focus more on like my wholesale orders, because those are givens. I don't have to do as much marketing stuff. I don't have to do as much of the website upkeep or bringing new products to life. And so I can kind of almost, unfortunately, kind of just like let it live in what it is right now. And then when my things get a little bit more evened out and my actual job, I can maybe ramp things back up in my production. So you got to let it just ebb and flow. And like I said, if it doesn't feel right anymore, then you got to re-examine. But I think it's just important that sometimes the day job just is the day job. And sometimes you love both equally. And I hope that's the case for most. But
Yeah, I fully agree. And I do appreciate the ebb and flow too, because it's just not possible to go at max capacity and run on all cylinders in every single thing you do, right? There is just an up and down to it.
Oh, yeah. And that always changes on like what cycle you are in life too. Where
Yeah.
are you at in your life in general? And maybe there's times where you just have more personal time to dedicate to things. Maybe there's times where you don't have the personal time to dedicate. And I think that just goes for any sort of whatever you're involved in, volunteerism, board seats, whatever it looks like for you. You got to find the flow for you, and it's going to change sometimes monthly depending on what's going on around the holidays. We're all like chaotic, right? How do you find balance during any of that? Probably don't, but you also know that it's going to get better.
And you just eat cookies to like help.
Yeah, as you should. Drink all the hot chocolate, eat all the cookies.
That's so true. Well, Dallas, I really enjoyed this conversation and I appreciate you coming on despite the imposter syndrome. If people would like to connect with you further, what's the best way?
You can check out my TikTok, the Violet Veranda, or Instagram. The Violet Veranda would be great there as well. And I would love to connect with anyone. Thank you so much, Liz. It has been so wonderful to see you and catch up with you. And I just really appreciate this opportunity.
Awesome. I appreciate it too. It was very fun.
Thank you.
Welcome to Liz's House Hot Takes. This is where I take the lessons I've learned over the last 16 years of designing Greek houses and offer you my pro tips. Here's today's House Hot Take. Always leave space for shipping surprises. One broken sofa leg, one back-ordered rug, or a box of missing hardware. That is all that it takes to stall a project. Build in extra time for any shipping surprises and always have a plan B for those critical pieces. That way your space feels complete even if one item shows up fashionably late. Manage your expectations on this topic and you will have a better experience. As a designer, I manage these challenges for my clients, but if your LHC is handling your project on your own, it can really weigh you down and cause unwanted stress to the volunteers. Expecting potential problems and knowing how you will handle them makes a world of difference in how you feel going through the update of your chapter house. Thanks for listening to another House Hot Take. For more inspiration, check out the PDR Interiors Instagram or TikTok. I'm Liz Alexander, and this is the Sorority Chat podcast. Catch you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you got something out of today's conversation, we'd love for you to leave us a 5-star review. It helps us reach more listeners just like you. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to check out this video right here or this one over here. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. I'm Liz Alexander, and this is the Sorority Chat podcast. Catch you next time. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry for Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Liz Alexander.